Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down my week number 8 top 5 defenses to stream for the 2024 fantasy football season, as well as going over 3 defenses that are honorable mentions for you to pick up on the week. But before we can get into things, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you leave a like on today's video. It would help me out a ton. If you want to follow me on Twitter or X, please do so at NotriousFantasy. So without further ado, let's get into my week number 8 defenses to stream for the 2024 fantasy football season. We begin with my first defense to be streaming on the week, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs at the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, the Kansas City Chiefs defense is currently rostered in 47.6% of leagues on NFL, 31.9% on ESPN, and 60% on Yahoo. Now, the Chiefs last week played up against the 49ers in Santa Clara in the Super Bowl rematch, and they ate that W 28-18. Now, I understand that the 49ers were down Debo because he was sick. They didn't have Ayuk for a majority of the game. But the Chiefs' defense is legitimately good, right? It's not that the 49ers had a fluke down performance because of injuries. The Chiefs' defense is very, very good. They have 1 sack in that game, 3 INTs, 18 points allowed, and they have allowed 18 or fewer points in 4 of 6 games on the season, and they have 5 total interceptions on the year. So the Chiefs' defense is a formidable force. They are a force to be reckoned with, and the Las Vegas Raiders offense without Devontae Adams is incredibly limp dick, and the Kansas City Chiefs will handle them with ease. The proof is in the pudding. Last week, we saw the Rams defense go up against the Raiders at home in LA, and they won that game 20-15. This is a Rams defense that isn't very good. This is a Rams defense that gets plowed on the weekly like they were on the bang bus. But the Rams defense showed out and looked amazing in this game. 2 sacks, 3 INTs, 1 fumble recovery, 1 touchdown, and 15 points allowed. The Raiders' bum offense made the Rams defense look like the 85 Bears. So you better believe that the Chiefs defense is going to eat up against Gardner Minshew in this game. At number 2, we got the Los Angeles Chargers going up against the New Orleans Saints at home in LA. Chargers defense currently rostered in 43.7% of leagues on NFL, 30.7% on ESPN, and 40% on Yahoo. Now, the Chargers actually play tonight up against the Cardinals in Arizona, so we got to go ahead and hop into the time machine like we were the Minutemen back to week number 6 for their defensive stats. Week 6, the Chargers went up against the Denver Broncos in Denver and win 23-16. 2 sacks, 1 INT, 1 fumble recovery, and 16 points allowed. Every single week on the season, the Chargers defense has had 2 or more sacks and 1 INT with 4 fumble recoveries on the season. The Chargers defense is another one of those defenses that I believe is one of the best defenses in the NFL. And when you can go up against a disgruntled Saints offense, this is a recipe for sugar, spice, and everything nice like the Powerpuff Girls for the Chargers to be one of the best defenses on the week. The Broncos defense, week 7 up against the Saints in New Orleans in prime time, Thursday Night Football. They win 33-10, 6 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries, 1 touchdown, and 10 points allowed. Now, Chris Olave should be back for this game. He missed last week due to the fact that he got a concussion early on in week 6 up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But, and this is a big but, shout out to Violet Myers, Shaheed is done for the season, and Carr will not be back until potentially next week in week 9. Potentially, not even a guarantee. So we're either going to see Spencer Rattler, who got his lunch money stolen last week by the Broncos, or we are going to see Jake Haener, who came in and looked competent. But again, that's because the Broncos were already up by 7 gazillion points, right? The defense isn't dialed in at the end of the game when you're up by 1 million to just allow things to happen, right? They're playing some soft defense, and Haener looks decent, okay? But whether it's Spencer Rattler, Timo, Patrick Mahomes, or if it's Jake Haener, I believe the Chargers defense has all of the pieces. They have the coaching to be able to shut down a Saints offense that had a nice Linsanity run through the first 2 weeks of the season, but that team that laid a smackdown, brother, on the Dallas Cowboys, just not there anymore. At number 3, we move to the Detroit Lions, going up against the Tennessee Titans at home in Detroit. Anytime you can stream up against the Tennessee Titans offense, that's going to be very nice for the defense, especially when the defense is solid like the Lions. 15.9% rostered on NFL for the Lions, 54.3% on ESPN, and 19% on Yahoo. Now, the Detroit Lions went up against the cold like Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota last week. Division rivalry matchup. The Vikings are getting the Suka Lamink special by every single NFL analyst on TV. Everyone is just stroking off the Vikings. Brian Flores, Mono Man, Sam Darnold, and I think they honestly deserved it, but the Lions end up winning that game 31-29 as the kings, in my opinion, of the NFC. The Lions defense had 4 sacks, 1 INT, and 23 points allowed. This Lions defense has recorded a sack or more in every single game on the season, and they also have an interception or more in every single game, and they haven't allowed over 24 points since week number 4. So this is a defense that is very solid. I understand that losing Aiden Hutchinson hurts like a butt cheek on a stick, right? If you could magically hit Aiden Hutchinson with the quick revive, give him a little revive, and he was out there up against the Titans or even up against the Vikings last week, that would be better for the Lions defense. But the Lions defense is built for success up against bum-ass offenses like the Tennessee Titans. The Bills defense teed off up against the Titans. I know the game was close in the first half, but they had us in the first half, I can't lie, because in the second half, it was nothing short of complete and utter dismantlement of the Titans establishment. Winning 34-10, the Bills defense had 3 sacks, 1 INT, 1 fumble recovery, or 10 points allowed. Whether they roll out Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Mason Rudolph, or whether they roll out the Mayo Man Will Levis, I have so much confidence in this Lions defense to be one of the best defenses on the week. And frankly, the fact that they're owned in less than 20% of leagues on NFL and Yahoo is absolutely hilarious. I get that people are nervous about the matchup up against the Vikings, but with how solid the Lions defense has been, you definitely want to hop on the bandwagon. At number 4, we move to the Green Bay Packers at the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Packers defense is rostered in 56.7% of leagues on NFL, 34% on ESPN, and 47% on Yahoo. Now, the Packers defense didn't really show up in a huge way up against the Houston Texans. I don't really think anyone expected the Packers defense to get 3 pick sixes on CJ Stroud and held Joe Mixon out of the end zone completely, right? And turn the Houston Texans offense completely and utterly limp dick in the need of some Cialis. Obviously, that didn't happen, but the Packers defense still played great. Shout out Tony the Tiger. They won the game 24-22. 4 sacks, 22 points allowed, and the Packers defense leads the league in turnovers and have allowed just 20.2 points per game. Now, I get that the Jacksonville Jaguars offense got cooked. Not by the Patriots. The Patriots defense didn't do anything up against the Jaguars. The Jaguars, it was open season in London. The Patriots lose 21-41, and Trevor Lawrence and Tank Bigsby formed an Eiffel Tower over that defense. Pure and utter domination. 32 points allowed for the Patriots. Not a sack, not an interception, not a fumble recovery. They didn't do diddly squat. They did nothing. But there's a difference between the Packers and the Patriots defense. The Jaguars were also in London for an extra week. So that could have also led to the Jaguars offense being juiced up, where the Patriots might have been jet lagged or something. Again, I'm not going to sit here and make a laundry list of complaints, right? Reasons why the Patriots defense didn't show up. Frankly, they didn't show up, but I expect the Packers defense to actually show up. Now, I will be honest with you guys. When it comes to ranking the defenses, my first defense, the Chiefs, I am incredibly confident in them. They're like wrapping a condom around your fantasy football team. Very, very safe. The Chargers up against the Saints, I'm very confident in them, just like I'm very confident in the Lions going up against the Titans, whether that's Will Levis or Mason Rudolph. For the Packers, my confidence level starts to dwindle a little bit. I am less confident in the Packers compared to the other defenses. Next up, we got defense number 5 here, the Texans versus the Colts. And I'm in a similar range of confidence with the Packers as I am with the Texans. Now, the Texans defense is more widely available, 31.3% rostered on NFL, 39.3% on ESPN, and 48% on Yahoo. Now, the Houston Texans defense up against Jordan, love me tender, love me sweet. Last week, they were dialed in Lambeau Field. They lost the game 22-24, but the defense played great. The defense was not the reason why the Texans lost that game. They had 3 sacks, not 1, but 2 interceptions, 1 fumble recovery. They only allowed 24 points. Now, there's going to be a lot of people right now in the comment section, because I haven't mentioned it yet, and people will comment before they even watch the video. Fine, you can do that if you want, but they'll be like, Nick, in week 1, do you not remember what happened? Anthony Richardson went crazy against that Houston Texans defense. Aren't you worried they're going to do it again? Now, it's definitely possible, right? But that Houston Texans defense early on in the season looks quite different to the Houston Texans defense that we are seeing right now. It's like when Captain America at the beginning of that first movie, when he's that little shriveled up guy, he's not jacked at all. He's just a normal looking guy, he's a little bit skinny. And then he comes out that thing after they inject him with whatever. He comes out there looking super built, right? He comes out looking like a 0.0001% human, right? The guy is jacked. That's the Texans, right? They start off, skinny, and they come out looking amazing. Pause. No diddy on that one. But I do really think the Texans defense that played the Colts in week 1 is a much different version compared to what's going to play the Colts here in week 8. Plus, Colts offense. I don't think Anthony Richardson, who laid down the pipe in week 1, is going to look the same as he did in week 1, because Anthony Richardson looked lost up against the Dolphins. The first half was terrible. The second half, he started percolating a little bit, but that's mainly because the Dolphins defense was just stuck on the field because the Dolphins offense, my Miami Dolphins offense, couldn't do jack shit. The Dolphins defense, week 7 up against the Colts, they lose 10-16, a disaster of large magnitude that we'll be talking about more as the week goes along. They get 1 fumble recovery and 16 points allowed. So with the Texans defense looking better, you can make an argument to rank the Texans over the Packers. But the Colts defense, the Colts offense, it is a division rivalry game. So maybe the Colts offense will actually show up to play this week compared to what we have seen with Anthony Richardson last week up against the Dolphins. Before we move on in to the 6th defense and then going into the honorable mentions, I would like to give you guys a quick word for our friends and our partner over at Underdog. If you're new to Underdog and sign up using promo code Notorious, or by clicking on the link in the video description, you'll be able to claim your free pick, which tonight is Kyler Murray higher than half of a total yard in that matchup up against the Chargers. If that pick hits, which it will, you're going to have to match that with another pick in the games tonight, not on the Arizona Cardinals or in any of the games next week. If both of those picks hit, you will receive 3 times what you put into your pick'em. You do multiple other picks, then the payout will be higher. So not only if you use promo code Notorious or click on the link in the video description where you get the free pick, you'll also get a first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash if you're watching this after tonight, right? After Monday Night Football has already kicked off, then you will just receive a different free pick, a different player higher than half of a total yard. So sign up using promo code Notorious to get that free pick. plus a first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash. So final defense to talk about here is going to be the Dolphins. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that the Dolphins have this elite defense. Their defense is solid. Their fantasy production isn't the best because for some reason, it's very abundant that they don't know how to wrap things up. They're like Phillip Rivers, right? They can't wrap it up. They have no idea how to tackle the quarterback. There was a million times up against Anthony Richardson where the guy was basically locked up, but they didn't throw away the key because he shook it off and was able to break free and was soaring and flying like his name was Troy Bolton. The Dolphins defense isn't great. But if those other defenses are owned and some of the honorable mention defenses are owned or you don't feel as comfortable with those defense, I think the Dolphins are a safe bet up against the Cardinals to at least be okay. So 8.8% roster on NFL, 29% on ESPN, and 29% on Yahoo. Again, the Dolphins defense wasn't great up against the Colts. 1 fumble recovery, 16 points allowed. Now the Cardinals play tonight up against the Chargers at home, so we got to go back to last week for their opponent's defensive stats. Packers defense, week 6 versus the Cardinals, they win 34-13, 3 fumble recoveries and 13 points allowed. The Arizona Cardinals are one of the most frustrating offenses to watch in the National Football League, because some weeks they come out guns a-blazing. They come out and they make the defense look like the little Giants. They make the defense look like a 8th grade, 7th grade combined football team, right? Whereas other games, they might not be playing up against the best defense, but that defense brings the boom. That defense is like just dominant. They have no answers for what the defense is bringing them. So while the Dolphins defense, I guess I should give them Cardinals a little bit more credit. They are definitely a little bit risky, but the Dolphins defense, if the Cardinals offense really isn't the best, then I could see the Dolphins defense turning them over. I could see the Dolphins potentially sacking Kyler a couple of times. So again, while it is far from ideal, it's more of a last-ditch effort. If you can't get those other defenses, I think there are worse options than the Dolphins. Now we move on into the honorable mentions. If you guys have enjoyed thus far, hit that subscribe button down below if you're new. Whether you are new to the channel or not, leave a like on today's video. It would help me out a ton. So the honorable mentions, we began with the Baltimore Ravens going up against the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland. Now, if they are available in your league, I would have them ranked around the Packers and Texans defense. Maybe slightly higher. I don't love what I've seen out of their defense. Like, let's be honest, let's call a spade a spade. The Ravens defense has been a big fat disappointment. But if Jameis Winston starts, which I believe will be the case, you get a dice roll on potentially having the Ravens get multiple picks or the Ravens defense getting face fucked and scoring negative points. Why is that? Because Jameis Winston is the type of guy that I could see throwing 4 touchdowns, over 300 yards, and maybe even running in a touchdown in this game. I could also see Jameis being lost in the sauce and throwing multiple interceptions, right? That's just who Jameis Winston is. Now he's got LASIK, so maybe he's a little bit more dialed in. But the Cleveland offense, without Amari Cooper, sure, they got 9-inch Nicholas Chubb back, but they're still not great, even with Jameis under center. Now, if DTR is under center, he's coming off the finger injury. They're saying it's not serious and he could play this game. That scenario is a lot safer for the Ravens defense, but a little bit less upside because I don't think DTR is going to potentially throw like a crazy amount of interceptions like Jameis might. Then we got the Giants at the Steelers. Now, the Giants defense is feeling like the New York sack exchange, right? They lead the league in sacks. Sexy Dexy Lawrence has been on fire. Brian Burns looks great. But we did just see Mr. Unlimited Russell Wilson, Mr. Danger Witch himself, cook up the Jets defense. So my confidence level isn't necessarily the highest, but we do know Russ could be in for a huge letdown spot here again with how good that Giants defense has been at getting to the quarterback. They are lower than the Dolphins for me because there is definitely a lot more risk here going up against the Steelers. And at number 3, we got the Bengals versus the Eagles. Now, a couple of weeks ago, the Cincinnati Bengals defense wasn't worth anything. They were terrible. They were getting trains ran on them weekly, but they have been solid in back-to-back showings. Now, again, I get, Nick, it was up against Giants and the Browns last week, so I get it wasn't the best competition, and I would rank them lower than the Giants defense, but hopefully you guys were able to get the other defenses that we talked about. You don't even have to dig into the bag of honorable mention defenses. If these defenses aren't available and you have questions, let me know down below in the comment section so that I can help you. And if maybe you have like a Vikings defense or a Denver defense, let me know in the comment section, because obviously we're not going to spend time yapping about them when they are owned in a majority of leagues. So thank you guys all so much for watching today's video. If you did end up enjoying, make sure you guys do hit that subscribe button down below. Like I said, it helps me out a ton. Leave a like on today's video as well. That's a great way to help boost the video through the algorithm. Same thing with leaving a comment. Make sure you guys do check out Underdog, promo code Notorious, to get your free pick tonight. Kyler Murray higher than half of a total yard, plus a first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash, again using promo code Notorious, or by clicking on the link in the video description. I love you guys more than you will ever know. I hope you guys have a great rest of your guys' day. We'll be back a little bit later with the waiver wire video. See you guys soon. As always, good boy.